they're a good 250 yards away, and I'm just chilling. Pretty soon, I hear a stick pop over to my left, and I turn and I look, and I got a really nice mule deer buck, like a mid 170s. He's not a monster by any means, but a
Yeah.
good mule deer with a bow, and he comes walking off the side hill and steps out 18 yards in front of me, and I'm going, man, should I shoot this deer?
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and we got another great episode for you today. Today, we're actually connecting with Rusty Smith. Rusty is a business owner, hunter. He's been hunting longer than I've been alive, almost. Pretty damn close, actually. Man, he has some great stories for us today, from taking a friend who isn't physically able to hunt on his own on his first mountain lion hunt, to going out and hunting elk, but having a mule deer tag in your pocket and having to make a pretty crazy decision as to which one you want to shoot because you've got all sorts of opportunity. Rusty doesn't disappoint. So, Rusty, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing your stories. You listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. Let's just jump into this thing, guys. Let's let Rusty tell you some of his stories. Thank you. All right, Rusty, welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you, man?
Not too bad, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. My voice is finally coming back to me. I don't know. I think you listened to my last one. I think the intro and outro on that one, my voice was just wrecked. And the episode that's coming out the week after that, not much better. I'm starting to feel like I'm alive again, man. So I'm happy to be here talking with you, brother.
Good.
Let's do this, man. You reached out, said you had some stories to tell. Why don't you start by introducing yourself and let me know a little bit about who we're hearing stories from today.
Yeah, you bet. I'm Rusty Smith. If people are on social media, they would maybe know me by my handle a little better. I have a strange Instagram handle. It's RTS underscore Proverbs 21V19, which is a reference to a joke. I have to explain that with my wife and I. Proverbs 21:19 says it's better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. And so
That's pretty good.
it's been a joke since we got married. It's like, hey, babe, you're seeming a little ornery these days. I think I'm going to go hunting.
Yeah.
So, and she's a great sport with it. So, and that said, man, I'm married. I got 2 kids. Gosh, I've been married 25 years. I'm an old man. I just turned 49 this month.
That's still a good long marriage for only being 49, man. Good on you.
Yeah, it's been great. So luckily I have an awfully understanding wife with as much hunting as I do. She's she's amazing that way. But grew up in southeast Idaho on a cattle ranch. So I grew up
Okay.
on a ranch where when we weren't working on the farm and the ranch, we were hunting.
Okay.
We grew up deer hunting, elk hunting, a little bit of bear, and then I'm from a houndsman family, so 4th generation houndsman. My brother and
That's
I,
super cool.
our kids are 5th, and so we grew up doing that all winter long.
How many dogs do you have right now?
Oh gosh, right now our community of dogs with the family, we were sitting around 7. So I just lost one of my old females this
Oh,
winter.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's tough.
Unfortunately,
But man, that dogging community is super cool and intriguing to me. I've had a couple folks on the podcast that are really into it, and it's always like you don't just get invited, but it's just super interesting, and they always have amazing stories. So it's super cool. I didn't know that about you, man. So hopefully we get to hear a story involving your dogs at some point today.
sure. Yeah, we got lots of cat stories and dog stories. So
Yeah, I've got. In fact, I'll tell you later. But I don't know if you like Cliff Gray. He has a great story about hound hunting, where he crawls into a cougar den. It's just insane. So check that episode out if you haven't
Yeah.
already, Rusty.
yeah, it's crazy. You want to hear, people talk about like guys have fishing stories. You want to hear stories? Talk to a houndsman.
For sure. They never disappoint. And then there's, of course, everyone knows Derek Wolf's story with his buddy who's got the hounds and the giant 220-pound cougar that he killed. But
Yeah.
we're not here to talk about those guys. We're here to talk about you, Rusty. Why don't we do that? We're getting off track. You got me excited. Why don't you set the stage, man? Let's just dive into it. Why don't you set the stage for this first story you want to tell today?
Yeah, the first one I'll tell you is not a cat or a hound story, but one of my more memorable hunting experiences and hunting falls I ever had was clear back in 2012. And I do a lot of archery hunting. Archery elk is my passion. I've been lucky and blessed to, kill some amazing deer, etc. But man, chasing screaming bulls in September during the rut with a bow, the fun level is just way up here for me. And
It's so true.
isn't it?
Yeah, you just hear, you can be like completely like tired, not wanting to wake up, walking through the woods. You hear a bugle, you're like, all right, let's go. It's going. It's the perfect cup of coffee.
I was just explaining to my business partner the other day. We talk about it, and I got a lot of friends. I joke about that love for chasing elk because I got a lot of buddies that are just diehard mule deer guys, and I'm like, man, I never have a problem getting out of the sleeping bag or climbing out of bed to go elk hunting. I'm usually waking up way before an alarm. But deer hunting, sometimes I have to drag my butt out of bed. And I said it would be different if those deer would bugle, you guys. If those deer would talk, it would be a little bit different story. So
yeah, I believe it, man.
Anyway, this experience, I do a lot of solo elk hunting. I've just found to be successful with big bulls, I'm usually better off, honestly, alone. I very seldom call.
Okay.
I got a little bit different. I mean, I've killed plenty of elk off calling them, sitting wallows, etc. But I found when I target big bulls, I rarely call to them, especially a herd bull, right? It's got a bunch of ladies. Yeah. Well, I had this one particular bull I was trying to kill, and it's just in a general over-the-counter unit, 6-point bull. And this evening, I had him bugling. He was screaming on his own. I wasn't talking to him. And I worked my way down off the pine hill. I had the thermals in my favor. And I could tell he was working around this hill. Okay. Soon enough, as they get closer and closer, a cow comes by. And I start to realize he's talking, but he's following this cow. This cow's obviously like in heat, and he's after her. They came by on a trail below me, about 90 yards below me. Couldn't get in any closer as they went by. Super frustrated. Archery hunting's that game of being frustrated, right? Where you're like,
yep.
I was close, but not close enough. I decided I'm just going up the top of the hill. I'm sleeping right here, and I'm going to kill him in the morning. And so I did that. I went and I crashed up under a tree that night. That next morning, I started hearing him screaming, a good hour before light. Worked my way.
Did you have any gear with you? Like, did you have a bivy or a sleeping bag, or did you just brush some pine cones around your hips and get sleep?
I had a bivy. I had a bivy and a bag. So, especially back then, most of the time we rarely took a tent anywhere. It was a bag and a little bivy in the sack, little thin bivy sack that we'd throw the bag in and kick out a deer or an elk bed, and just chill right there. So that next morning, I had him screaming, and I could tell he was coming around the hill in the exact same spot, just the opposite direction, right? Going from his, the night before, he was traveling from one area to a bedding area or a feeding area, and this morning he's doing the opposite. And I cut down that hill. Thermals were in my favor again, and I'm just hanging out, going, I'm just going to let him walk by. He's probably got that cow with him, and I'm going to let him come by, and I'm going to drill him. Well, I figure they're a good 250 yards away, and I'm just chilling. Pretty soon, I hear a stick pop over to my left, and I turn and I look, and I got a really nice mule deer buck, like a mid 170s. He's not a monster by any means, but a good mule deer with a bow, and he comes walking off the side hill and steps out 18 yards in front of me, and I'm going, man, should I shoot this deer?
You have tags for both, I'm assuming, right?
Got tags for both.
Okay.
And he's a good-looking buck, kind of heavy-horned. And I decided I'm going to shoot this buck, and I hope I don't screw this up with the elk. So I shoot that deer 18 yards. He runs after I shoot him out of sight, and I just sit there, and it takes about 15 more minutes, and here comes that cow elk. Here comes the bull.
You gotta be kidding me.
No way. So, same trail. The deer walked down onto a trail. I shot him on the trail 18 yards. Same trail. Elk are coming the other way. That bull's like tipping his antlers coming in between the trees, and he steps there and stands at 18 yards. Same distance I shot the deer at. I let it fly through him, a clean pass through, hurried and did a quick call, and he stopped. started doing the old spread eagle, stagger, and I
Yeah.
watched him go down right there, and I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, you're like, shit, now I gotta get all this out of here.
Yeah, I'm alone.
Wish I didn't hunt alone.
Yeah, and that was it. I went over to him and checked him, and then I started looking, not sure, not totally sure where that deer was, and that deer was laying dead 40 yards from the bull.
No
So,
way.
yeah, I'd wrote an article for a magazine about it a long time ago, and I titled it "Efficiency or Stupidity."
Yeah,
And,
that's a great title. That's a great title for this circumstance.
And it was just really extra special to me. I wasn't there for the deer, right? But I shot this deer and this elk back to back. They're dead 40 yards from each other. Luckily, I got hiked up to the top of the hill. This is 2012. I had an old Motorola flip phone, and date myself here, but got the old texting out, and I got a hold of my dad. I couldn't make a phone call, but I had enough service I could get a text out. Luckily, I was able to get a hold of my old man, and he started that way with horses. So,
Yeah. How deep were you? If you, I don't know if you mentioned that at the beginning.
Yeah, gosh, I was from where he had to bring horses. I was probably about 3 miles.
Okay, that's a tough pack out.
Yeah, I've done
Yeah.
way too many pack outs by myself, especially with elk. Trip after trip, and it's
Yeah.
brutal. And so I was grateful for my dad. By the time he got there, I had the elk cut up, the deer cut up and quartered and hanging and cooling, and I was taking a nap. Luckily,
Did you bring game bags with you or anything like that, or did you only have enough for like half of them, or were you like double bagging? The logistics here are mind blowing. So I'm curious.
yeah, great question. In fact, nobody's ever asked me that question. I had one set of game bags that I had with me to be able to handle an elk. Luckily, with my dad bringing in horses and panniers, he brought some additional stuff, which was great.
Okay, that's awesome.
So saved me that. We saved my bacon completely. You talk even just 3 miles. I'd have been a couple of days probably.
Yeah.
Packing that deer and elk out. I've had plenty of elk take me multiple days to get a few miles, and so he saved my bacon. But I tell that story because it's just one of those experiences that hit me that I'm like, that is probably never gonna happen again. Never.
Yeah, for sure. To someone, maybe there's enough hunters out there that maybe someone might have that kind of luck, but no, not really. Like, that's so unique.
Yeah, I'm like, especially for me, you're exactly right. Somebody else might have it, but I'm like, and it reminds me of just hunting in general. We have so many unique experiences that they're extremely unique. They're not going to happen again, but this one, I'm like, I would love for this to happen again.
Yeah, right.
But I probably never will, and so the whole reason I even wrote an article for a magazine is I just wanted to be able to remember it exactly how it happened.
That's so cool. It's crazy. He walked down the same path. Was he standing in like the exact same spot, or just roughly same spot, 18 yards on the same path?
Yeah, they were from where I shot the deer to where I shot the elk was probably a 5-yard gap in between them is all.
Okay.
Yep.
That's so crazy.
Deer on my left at 18 yards, elk on my right at 18 yards.
Okay. Did you like Euro mount them, or what'd you do?
Yeah, I just did Euros on both of them.
Are they exactly 40 yards apart at your house? 'Cause I hope they are.
No,
I feel like that would be just the
they should
perfect
be.
thing.
I should put a line in between them where they are that says 40 yards. But no, I Euroed both of them, and they're at the house. But it's just one of those experiences that just always stuck with me, where I was like, man, I was very lucky. I was very blessed to be able to have that success, and I just pray it happens again.
Yeah, man, I'm jealous. I've never had anything close to that. Like, I'm sure you've put in plenty of miles. You probably skipped over the days that you were out there working hard, but that story made it seem real easy, Rusty. I'll tell you that, which we all know it isn't.
Yeah, and isn't that true with most stories? We just hear the successful part normally.
Yeah.
That was the 21st of September. I mean, so kind of give you an example, like this September that just got over with, I hunted all but 3 days of September.
Wow.
This last one. And, you put in a lot of time, you put in a lot of effort, just all whittles down for me, those 15 minutes between deer and elk.
Yeah, that's crazy. So the 3 days you didn't hunt this year, is that because you harvested something and you just ran out of tags, or?
Gosh, I had an unusual September. Being an elk nut, I actually drew a Wyoming Region G deer tag.
Okay.
Burned 11 points on it, and I decided, man, 11 points, I better put in some time and effort. And Wyoming's hunt over there, for those that don't know, it opens September 1st. It's archery for September 1st through the 14th, and then it changes to rifle on the 15th. And I'd scouted all through July and August, found a specific target buck I was after, just a slob, and I hunted after him, and I did not kill him. In fact, he ended up dying. I ended up knowing the guy that actually killed him with the rifle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, great guy. Couldn't have happened to a better dude. But
Well, that's good.
yeah, monster buck. But I was having anxiety because not chasing elk gives me anxiety. The whole time I'm chasing this deer, I'm like, man, I could be chasing bugle and bulls right now. And so I actually, of the few days I didn't deer hunt, I bounced back to my home unit. I ended up getting to hunt a complete total time of 29 hours for elk, and I got one. I got one after 16.
Wow,
I had 16,
that's awesome.
16 hours of hunting before I found him, killed him that night. So luckily I got a little archery elk hunting in this year.
Gosh, I wish I was that good. But I do know what you're talking about like that anxiety of like not going. So I'm a newer hunter. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm just having fun with it. I just, if I spend 10 days in the woods and don't see an elk, I still had a good time.
Yeah.
But the year, 10 years of doing that, and then I drew a cow moose tag last year. Not this season, but the season before. And so I went out, and, I only had limited time. I've got little kids, and so I was like, well, I'm going to go put everything I can into this moose tag. And ended up killing a moose on opening day, and was like, man, I should get out there and do elk. But I just didn't. I had already purchased the tag for a November hunt, and so I just like sat there in November and like, dang it, I have this time, and I'm not even out there elk hunting, and it felt weird. That being said, I did have an antelope tag, so I went and chased that for a few days. I did harvest an antelope, so I made use of the time. But yeah, it's weird when like the thing you love to do, you just have to like put on the back burner for a second.
Yeah, you get that FOMO, right? That fear of missing out. And, I heard a good friend of mine, Marlon Holden. I don't know if you know Marlon. I heard him kind of describe this on a podcast he did a while ago, and I loved it. You can get out there and spend all these days. You can go spend 10 days, whatever, on a hunt. And all of us, if we're being honest, there's certain days you're out there, you're like, I don't want to be here. I'm ready to just be home, right? Like, maybe you're struggling, maybe you're not finding animals, and you get that like, I am just ready to be home. You go home, and a day later you're like, man, I wish I was back in the mountains.
Yep. That's the truth. That's the truth.
It happens.
Yeah. My buddy kind of had, so this year is a weird year, but my normal hunting buddy, after like, I'll say 7 days, he snapped. And he was like, I'm going to go home. And he snapped. He didn't just say, I'm going to go home. To me and our other guy that were out in the woods, he was like, F you, F this, and just walked off the other direction. And we're like, what just happened? Because we were talking about we're looking at Onyx. We're like, I think we need to be a mile north. And the next thing we know, he's just swearing at us and walking the other direction. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess he's done. So, yeah, we definitely get to that point. But either way, what other stories you got for us, Rusty?
Well, due to the houndsman thing, I'll tell you a cat story.
Sweet.
It's crazy. We got lots of kitty cat stories, but my brother was fortunate enough to work for a study that went on in Wyoming. It was called the Teton Cougar Project. It was actually the longest running, and I believe it still is, the longest running mountain lion study in North America. It went for like 17 years.
Okay.
I think it was originally supposed to be like a 5 to 8 year endeavor, and it just kept getting extended. Well,
are they studying any specific thing? I'm not familiar with this study. Are they looking, for how far they're traveling or sleeping, or you tell me?
Yeah, great question. This was part initially of a predator interaction study. So up in the Jackson Hole, the Teton area, you had wolves, black bears, grizzly bears, mountain lions, and it was part of a predator interaction study where they go, hey, we're going to put collars on them. We're going to see where they travel, when they travel there. We're going to study their predation. What are they eating? Are they eating healthy? Are they eating sick? A lot of these things guys actually in the hunting community argue about, right? With cats. And And so they're gathering tons of data, what they're killing, why they're killing it, etc. And then we're sharing that data with the guys doing the wolf study, the guys doing the bear study, and overlaying it and see how it may have affected each other. For example, there ended up being a big correlation between wolves and mountain lions. Everybody talks about how wolves, decimate elk populations and stuff like that. Well, they actually affect the mountain lions as well. For example, we'd had...
In a positive or a negative way?
A negative. Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, I'll give you one example. We had like a female with kittens. And a lot of people don't realize it, but lions can have kittens any time of year. It's not like deer and elk where they have them in the spring.
Okay.
Just like a regular house cat, they can go into heat whenever. So they can have babies in the winter and the summer. And we had this female with kittens in the winter, and she would make a kill, and within less than 24 hours, the wolves would come and steal that kill from her. So next thing you know, she can't feed her babies. So we started having young lions just starving to death, as well as if the wolves would get those young lions on the ground, they just kill them immediately. It's that dog-cat relationship. They'd run right in and kill them. So they actually had a negative impact on the lions.
That's so interesting. Another thing you mentioned is just that your brother does this, which is an interesting fact that I think every houndsman I've had on the podcast has contributed to a science study, which is really cool, I think. And we need to get all that information to Colorado Parks and Wildlife. But yeah, it seems like every houndsman, it's not about necessarily the hunting. It's just about going out there and running the dogs, and that's what's the most important part.
It is. Houndsmen have helped with more studies. My family particularly, we've helped with a lot of work in Idaho. We've done a ton of work for the Fish and Game. In fact, if they have deemed problem cats or anything somewhere, our family's the one they call and say, hey,
that's awesome.
Come catch this cat. They helped us build a series of cages out at my dad's ranch that we would, keep those cats until they were ready to turn them loose. The Fish and Game was. We raised the resident male in the Portland, Oregon Zoo. In fact, I think he's still alive. His name's Paiute. You can find him on YouTube. We raised him for 1.5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Very cool.
So
all right, we went off on a tangent there. But okay, back to your brother's story. He's running the study.
Yeah, the study, my brother was awesome in that, a lot of these guys that come work on studies are right out of college. They've gone and studied wildlife biology, but they don't really have any hands-on experience with animals. And my family, we've messed with them forever. And so my brother basically talked him into it. He said, like, hey, let my dad and my brother and stuff come over. We'll get more cats caught. Let them come over. They can cut for tracks. We'll find more. We'll collar more. Better for the study. And so we started doing work as their capture crew. And I'll tell you one particular story over there. Just because enough time's gone by, I don't think it's so bad. But once in a blue moon, your dogs will catch cats on the ground, right? Normally we turn dogs on a track. They'll run them. Cats are extremely fast, but they do not have endurance. They run a little ways and go, forget this, and they go up a tree.
Yeah.
And so we tree a cat, and when we do that on the study, it's great. We dart them in the tree. Half the time they bail, half the time they stay in. We give them a hallucinogen. We get the dogs pulled back. We can put a radio collar on them, take blood, etc. Well, once in a blue moon, your dogs will catch up to a cat on the ground. And we had a particular one where our dogs caught up to this cat on the ground, and they got into a little fight. Normally, your dogs will kind of surround a cat. They're barking. They got it bait up on the ground. Cat will take, a swat here and there. Once in a while, a dog gets a little bloody. Well, this particular cat swatting, grabbing some of these dogs. As we came walking up, the hounds kind of parked as you kind of come up. Well, as the hounds came around, that cat reached out, grabbed a hound, pulled it in underneath it, and when it would go to bite down on it, we have a big leather collar. We got like GPS tracking collar. So there's a lot for a cat to get through there. The cat, it's breaking skin, but it can't bite down all the way on that dog's neck. But it
can't get that spine and
I get it.
Okay.
So the other dogs are still nipping and biting at it, and that keeps the cat's head up, and it's just kind of pummeling this dog, holding it under, biting once in a while, scratching. Well, if you know anything about houndsmen, you do not mess with their dogs.
No.
A houndsman will do crazy things to save one of his dogs. Well, as we came up onto that cat, My brother comes up. We carry shovel handles, no spade. Like that's our walking stick. And
Okay.
our shovel handles, if I showed it to you, they're full of bite marks, claw marks, you name it, from these cats.
How
And
long is it? Literally just like a standard 2-foot long shovel handle, or how long?
standard shovel, so it's about a 4-foot handle, like a normal full-size shovel.
Okay.
Anyway, as we come up, my brother comes walking up there to the front and kind of is trying to get his stick in there to be able to get that dog out from the cat. So you're right there, close quarters. Well, as you do that, the dogs start moving around to the back of the cat. Well, one of those dogs grabbed at that cat's tail. So that cat turns around, and that dog's still underneath its chest, and swats at that dog behind it. Well, when it does, there's an opening. My brother reaches and grabs the dog's collar, yanks him, and as he's pulling the dog out from under the cat, that cat comes back around, swatting. Well, that dog caught that paw right in his mouth and clamped down. And I don't know, you ever played with dogs where you can get a stick in their mouth and you can pick them up right off the ground? They do not let go. That dog would not let go. So my brother's got a hold of the dog. The dog's got a hold of the cat. My brother's got that stick he's kind of throwing out here trying to keep the cat away from coming closer, right? A bad scenario.
And the dog's playing tug of war.
Oh, yeah. And so he's totally playing tug of war, and he's kind of trying to keep that stick in between them. And it's literally, hey, we got to grab that dog and literally choke it out to get it to let go. I learned a long time ago with my grandpa, you can hit a dog, it ain't going to let go. Especially a hound.
Yeah.
So anyway, we had to literally choke that dog out so he couldn't breathe, so he would let go of that cat. Anyway, we got the dogs parted. Cat ran off, got up a tree, and we were able to take care of everything with it. But that's always just been one of those stories that goes, this kind of defines what houndsmen do and deal with fairly often if you go a lot.
Yeah, and they'll do anything, man, for those dogs. They will do anything. Like I said, Cliff Gray ended up climbing into a den because a cat had a dog in there, and they were assuming the dog was already dead. Spoiler, dog was fine, but the whole story is just absolutely crazy. And like I said at the beginning, houndsman stories never disappoint, ever. They're always amazing stories. So thanks for sharing that with me, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Oh, I can't even imagine reaching anywhere near a cougar while it's got just try to pull anything away from it. I can't even imagine doing that. I'm not brave enough.
Yeah,
but I also don't. I'm not a houndsman.
Yeah, you grab them. I've grabbed them by the tail and all kinds of stuff to be able to pull stuff away from a dog. We had some just here 2 winters ago getting a ground fight, and it was literally jamming a stick in, grabbing a dog, handing it to the guy behind you, getting your dogs off. And that doesn't happen all the time, right? In a perfect world, they get them to a tree and everything's grand, but once in a while something goes wacky and the ground brawl does happen.
Yeah, what do you think of the, like, 1 out of every 50? Or is it less likely or more likely than that?
Probably even less for us. And some of that might depend on the ecosystem that somebody's running in, what the terrain is like. Okay. There's, guys that get running in the desert. They're going to bay them up on ledges and cliffs and have more of an opportunity for that. A majority of where we run, we got pine trees and stuff around.
Got it.
So, yeah, a lot of that just depends on your ecosystem.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Well, let's keep going. This is fun. I got my hair standing on the back of my neck with that last one.
Yeah, we got all kinds of stories. Let's see. I'll give you another elk story. How about that?
Perfect.
Since that's my passion. I had a elk. It would have been 2023. I had two elk tags that year, and I killed an elk in the archery on the 3rd day of the archery hunt. Nice 6-point bull, and I had this second tag, and we had found a bull. It was a big 6x7, and I was like, "That's the guy I'm after." He was the big dog in that unit that we'd found. We couldn't find one bigger, and I was bound and determined I was going to go after him. I'd already killed an elk, so I was after him. Couldn't find him. Could not find him. We were all the way to the 23rd of September, and I still had not seen this bull since before the hunt started, and the hunt opened on August 30th. We found him on the 23rd, glassed him up, couple thousand yards away, he had a herd of cows, and there was another big bull with a herd of cows, and those herds ran into each other. And those are those days that I absolutely love. Total chaos, like bulls screaming. Those two bulls locked up and were in one of those epic, like true epic elk battles with dust flying and sticks flying, not just this bumping head stuff. And I was loving it. I was way up the hill going, eventually they're going to calm down. They're going to move up to their bedding area. The thermals will be in my favor. I'm going to pick him off. Because I'm like, I've finally seen him after it was 23, 24, 25 days, because it opened August 30th. I'm like, I got to kill him today. Well, they settled.
Was the bull that he was fighting with, was he comparable in size, or was he just obvious that your bull was going to win that fight?
Yeah, they were really identical. Antler wise, they were almost sixes. He was a big 6x6. The one I was after was a 6x7. I'd say the one I was after was probably at least a year older. He had a bigger body. Okay. But they'd been going at it hard, and it was a pretty even fight. Like, there wasn't an obvious winner, but they slowly settled down. And I had about 40 head of elk, and next thing you know, they started bedding down in these ravines where they were. They weren't moving up to a normal bedding area. And I'm like, well, I got to go get him. So I decided where I was going to try a stalk in, which is always hard with 40 head of elk. I mean, you got 80 ears, 80 eyes, 40 noses. And I planned this little route where I was like, okay, I can keep the thermals in my favor here. Maybe I'll bump a little elk along the way, but hopefully they'll be going the other direction. I worked all the way into where I saw him bed. And I couldn't see him, but I knew the patch he was bedded in. And I got all the way into where I figured I was in that like 50 to 60 yard range. And I took one more step, and all of a sudden I heard something behind me, like a stick pop. And I turn around, and I got a 6-point bull. He's like probably like a 280, 290 type 6-point bull staring at me. And
I was worried it was another mule deer, Rusty.
Oh, seriously, right? I wish that was the case.
Yeah.
I wish. But he jumped up and just busted out of there. And I was like, oh, he just ruined this for me. Like, the whole herd's going to bust out of here. Well, it triggered my bull from all that fighting, and that one jumping up and running, I think it made him think somebody's coming in here after my ladies. He jumped up and started screaming. He's just bugling. And elk started filing out of that patch of trees. And it's like, there's a spike, there's a 5-point, there's a cow, and I'm range finding them. And I could finally see him in the trees. And as he starts to come out, I'm like, hey, this is awesome. I draw my bow, he comes out. I had made a mistake, and he had came out way closer to me than where all the other elk had came out. So I thought he was farther. And when I shot,
What did you think he was, and what range was he?
So I thought he was 55 yards, and I didn't range it after, and you'll see why with the story in a second, but he was obviously much closer. I hit him below the spine. So I hit him high, that, some guys call it no man's land, but I hit him probably about 4 inches below his spine. Clean pass through. Arrow all the way through. So I did not hit any vitals. No lungs, no nothing. And he took off running, made it about 30 yards, and he stopped and bugled.
No way.
And I just put an arrow through him. The other big bull, which was about 70 yards above him, jumped out of his bed, came running to him, and they locked up. I think that all I could conclude is that he decided he took an antler, right? He'd been fighting all morning. I think he probably thought he got hit with an antler, and they went into epic battle. And I knock an arrow, and I've ran up to like 20-something yards, and I'm trying to shoot him, and you can't. Like, his butt's facing me, then the other one's butt's facing me. Pretty soon you're like, I got to get behind trees. They're going to run me over. Like, just pushing each other. Sticks flying, dust flying. And
they're not like in a contained area. I've seen videos and stuff like that. I've never had the opportunity to actually get in on one, but they're moving 30 yards one direction, 30 yards the other direction. They can stomp you quick.
Yeah, they just
I'm impressed you ran in there.
They just run over everything. Right? And I kept thinking I'd get a shot. I had to let off. And then I'd be like, there's my opportunity. And I'd draw. And then they'd twist and turn. And I just had to let them go at it. They finally separated after about 2 minutes of this.
Okay.
My biggest regret is my GoPro was sitting on the front seat of my truck that day. I wish I'd have had it on. And they pulled apart. I drew on him, and the other bull stepped behind him. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And then he stepped behind some brush. I heard him ran around the brush at 20 yards. Drew, as he stepped out, I let him have it. He made it about 80 yards and tipped over dead. But it was one of the most adrenaline-filled archery. I've been blessed to kill a lot of elk with my bow, and that was probably one of the most adrenaline-filled elk hunts that I've ever had.
I believe it. What was it in your mind that was like, these guys are battling, I need to get as close as possible to that battle?
Gosh,
I'd just be sitting there and giggling, being like, this is so cool. Like, I probably wouldn't have taken a step.
I've hunted elk for so long. I killed my first elk with a bow when I was 13, and I'm 49, so I've been doing this a long time. And in my mind, I was just sick that I messed up and I screwed up that shot, right? And I knew that shot wasn't going to kill him. It was not going to kill him. And I'm like, I got to get an arrow in him. I got to put an arrow through his Boilermaker. And I'm like, I'm close. I'm right here. I can get one in, and I obviously couldn't until they separated and pulled apart. But it was just that desire of I gotta kill him. And I've had that happen with a couple of elk where I've put a lot of guys don't talk about their bad shots. I've put a couple of bad shots on animals, right? If you archery hunt long enough,
it's inevitable.
You're gonna do it. And it's just that thing of like, if I put a bad shot on, I kind of feel like I owe it to the animal. I gotta take him down. I don't want him to get infection and die later down the road, etc., whatever. And so I just wanted to get an arrow and put him down.
No, that makes sense. So when you shot him initially to where you ran up to, was it like an open field? Was it like in some trees, some cover? Or like, what did it look like? Because I'm curious, if they were battling so hard and you ran across an open field, they didn't run or anything? Or what did the battlefield look like?
Yeah, it's crazy. So he came out of trees, and then they were in like sagebrush and some scrub brush. So there was a handful of bushes that were like 10 feet high or so, but a majority of it was just open sagebrush in a gap between trees.
Okay.
And yeah, keep in mind, while they're fighting, there was still 40 head of elk. I got elk moving all around us. And there's elk standing there watching them fight. And then there's other elk that are like, I'm out of here. And so it literally was epic that way. Like, there wasn't cover. Man, they decide they're fighting, and they got nothing else on their mind.
Yeah. Okay.
They didn't even care that I was there.
Yeah. That's like I said, I've only been hunting for so many years, but that's on my bucket list. Like, I don't even need to kill anything. I just want to see an elk battle from like sub 70 yards. I think that would be one of the coolest things that could possibly happen.
It's epic.
I don't know if I need the 20 yards like you had, but I'll take sub 70.
Well, there's the sound that comes with it that is awesome. Like, I still got all these dings and marks in his antlers where they were going at it with each other, but the power, like, I've watched plenty of whitetail and antelope and muleys have brawls, and they are awesome. But the sheer power that you can practically feel behind a couple of bull elk just going, I want to kill you, is intense when you're up close.
It also says something about their antlers, man. The fact that most of the time they don't break. Occasionally they do. But just like the fact that those things regrow every year and are strong enough to support two elk smashing into each other is just so crazy. Yeah. Mother Nature's awesome.
Man, she is. She's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Man, you're dropping some bangers for us, Rusty. What else do you got, man? Every one of your stories has got me going. Let's keep going. I'm not letting you out the hook here.
I'll tell you a feel good story. Back to cats. My wife's cousin, his name is Nick, and he is actually in a wheelchair. He has a nerve disease that I couldn't pronounce it if I tried. But it treats him kind of like Lou Gehrig's or ALS, where his muscles atrophy. And it's kind of crazy. He could walk when he was younger, and that nerve disease hit him, and he got put in a wheelchair around 10 years old, I believe it was. So he'd experienced walking and everything. Well, one of our mutual good friends actually did some nursing care for him for a while. And they would talk and tell hunting stories. Our buddy Josh would tell Nick hunting stories.
Awesome.
Nick loved them.
I love that. Yeah.
But put yourself in his shoes. Like, he's hearing all these hunting stories and kind of going like, man, I want to do this. I want to be able to hunt. And people would tell him like, hey, you should do it. You should do it. But easier said than done. He's not like somebody that's been paralyzed from the waist down and has all the ability with his upper body. He can lift about 2.5 pounds of weight is all.
Yeah.
And his hands are curled up. And our buddy Johnny, who's actually my business partner in a couple of businesses, one of the greatest guys ever, said, I'm going to help him hunt. And Johnny's got kind of one of these engineering minds, and he designed a setup for his chair that we could get a gun hooked up for him. Johnny took a saw, cut the stock right off of one of his guns, because Nick can't take the kick from a gun, so we had to have a shooting sled to take it. And they started taking Nick hunting.
That's so cool. He thought about everything.
He loves it just as much as you and I do. He just needs help to do it, right? And he's killed. Gosh, this guy's killed a bull elk with his rifle. He's killed multiple deer, good deer. We got him a crossbow a few years back. He's killed an antelope with his crossbow. Took 8 years, but we finally got him an elk with his crossbow out of his wheelchair.
Amazing. He's more accomplished than I am, man.
Oh, dude, he's a stud. And he said one day, so we had a couple of mountain lions out at my dad's house that the Fish and Game had us capture, and we were hanging on to them for a few months until the Fish and Game, like until spring, and the Fish and Game wanted to go release them. And I had Nick come out going, he's never seen a mountain lion. Let me bring him out. So we rolled him up in his chair to the cage, and one of these small subadult lions, is standing there on the other side of the cage looking at him and grabbing that cage and giving him a little adrenaline rush. And Nick said to me, he said, man, that's one animal I'm never going to be able to hunt. And it was like, just twist a knife in you to hear him say that and go, that's crap. We're able-bodied. We can go do this stuff. And my brother-in-law was there with me, and we talked after, and we're like, we got to figure out how to get him on a cat hunt. And
that's so cool. That is so cool. I'm excited to hear where this story goes, because this sounds like just the amazing thing to do for someone, because I've never heard of anything except them being so hard of a hunt. So I'm excited to hear how you guys do it.
Yeah, crazy. You're exactly it, right? Crazy hard. Nick, when I talked to him and said, hey, do you want to try and hunt one? He goes, what are my chances? And I'm like, gosh, Nick, to be honest, like, they're not good. Like, we're talking single digits percentages here. I'm like, we got
so like an over-the-counter elk for most people.
yeah, right? Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, he's confined to the chair. We got to be able to catch a cat by a road or something somewhere where we can get a chair. We got to deal with like the cold. We got to be able to get in a position where he can't shoulder a gun, where we can maneuver his chair and adjust it to where he could shoot at something in a tree, etc. And like, they're not good, but we're willing to try. And he was game, and he, got all his gear and everything packed up. And I'd call Nick and say, hey, I'm going out, at 3:00 this morning. I'm going to go cut for tracks in some places that if we find one, maybe there's a chance. Great. He would come out and hang out by the truck while I'd try and chase a cat. And, maybe I'd get a cat caught 3 miles from the road and like, hey, sorry, buddy, I got him caught, but we can't get you here. And it took 2 winters. I caught 24 cats over those 2 winters trying to get him to one. And I'll tell you about a couple of them, because the first one was a heartbreaker. I'd caught a tom that he's one of these toms. I put him up a tree. When I come to the tree, he jumps and bails. And every once in a while, you'll get a cat like that doesn't want to stay. Well, as he jumped and bailed, every time he'd run to another tree, he was getting closer and closer back to my truck. And he eventually went over a hill. And when I came over the hill, I could see my truck like 300 and something yards away. And I'm like, I can't believe this cat's done this huge loop. And put him in a tree. and we were 300 and something yards away. And I had a couple of guys with me, and Nick's down there, and I'm like, we got to see if we can get this cat closer to him. So luckily, being a cat that would jump, he came out of the tree again, and we tried to herd cats, right? But luckily, he went downhill. We had the hounds and us above, and he went up a tree like 30, 40 yards off of this old dirt road.
Wow.
We got Nick there. He was all excited. We got him set up and ready. He was probably within 15 seconds of pulling the trigger. And keep in mind, he's not like any of us that can just reach up and grab the gun. He uses an actual drumstick, like playing drums, to put through the trigger because his fingers are crunched up. And he puts that drumstick into each hand and pulls the trigger with two hands.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not...
How does he... Who aims it, or how does it aimed?
So with his chair can tip forward and backwards and side to side. It's just an electric chair. So he sits and aims it, and if he's like, man, I'm barely low, one of us can grab the chair and put just a little bit of pressure on it and raise it just a tiny bit, right? Or we can put pressure on the front and we can push it down a little for him, but he's controlling it.
And is he looking through the sight, or did you have like a video camera sight?
He's looking through the scope. Yep.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yep.
That's so cool.
But we had him where he was about ready to go, and that cat jumped again. And I hurried and grabbed my dogs. I got the dogs on it, caught it like at 125 yards. By this time, it's starting to get late. It's starting to get dark almost. And I couldn't get him to the tree. And it was driving me nuts. And he's pretty fragile. Like I wanted to just pick him up and carry him over there, but he can't shoulder a gun. He can't put it on a tripod. He can't do any of that. And I was literally like, Nick, let me carry you over there. We'll try and figure that out. And some guys that are smarter than me are like, calm down, Rusty. Like, we don't want to break a bone.
We
just had worked so hard. And I love Nick's sense of humor because later we were talking with his mom. And he was like, yeah, Rusty was ready to take me over there. And I was all for it. And she's like, Nick, you can't do that. And he's like, what's the worst going to happen? They're going to paralyze me? You know? He's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I tell you that part of the story because it was emotionally deflating.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that was our chance. We're not going to get that chance.
You did so much, and we still couldn't put it together. I can see that. That would be tough. But I'm glad you kept at it, right?
Yeah, we kept at it, and believe it or not, I got him to another cat that was in a unit that he couldn't kill the cat, but we got him to come see it. But it was about 2 to 3 weeks later, I put a cat up a tree 30 to 40 yards from where that same cat was that jumped out. Same spot, different cat.
Yeah.
And that one stayed in the tree. And Nick was able to come and take that cat, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I partly tell you that this was 2020, and I just want to put in perspective, 2020 was one of the best hunting years I've ever had. I had, with my job at the time, I had ridiculous time. I killed 2 wolves that year. I killed an elk that year, a bear that year. I killed 5 deer. I killed 2 Sitka blacktail on Kodiak Island. I killed a 215-inch mule deer with a big drop tine. I killed another muley in Colorado. My boy had a muley tag in Colorado.
Oof.
I killed a whitetail with my bow. It was one of those.
You killed one animal every day of 2020, is what you're telling me.
Darn close. But I tell you that because that year will stand out in my mind as one of the best hunting seasons I've ever had. Like, I was successful with every tag I had, and the best hunt I had that year was taking Nick to get that cat. Like, hands down, no questions asked. And I killed some big animals that year. I killed my first wolves ever. Like, it was epic. And I would take that hunt with Nick over all those others. You could throw the others in the garbage, and it would be totally fine.
That's amazing, man. Do you have photos of like the group, like after you got the cat out with Nick and everything?
Yeah.
Can you share that? Can you share that with me? I'd love to put that into the podcast so when people are watching on Spotify or YouTube, they can actually check it out because that is a really cool story. And man, what did Nick say when he got it done?
Dude, it was awesome. I have I have a great video somewhere still that I recorded right after he shot that, and just pure excitement. Like this was a dream of his that he thought was impossible, right?
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the stuff he's been able to take, people would have said was probably impossible, like his elk with a crossbow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, and just he was so excited and extremely grateful, right? Like he's a super humble guy. He knew how many cats and how many
Yeah.
2:30 a.m. mornings and stuff. I'd gone out and stuff trying to find him a cat, and it worked out good because Idaho changed a bunch of laws right after that year. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and our cat numbers aren't great right now, and so it was perfect timing to do it when we did. We'd have a hard time ever making that happen again for him.
What are some of the regulations that maybe changed that would make it more difficult? And I was just racking my brain, and I'm like, I don't know, but I'm sure you can rattle a few off.
Yeah, it used to be the cat seasons used to be managed by a female quota, so they would have regions or areas. Once so many females are killed, the hunt shuts down. Houndsmen can still chase, they can still catch, but you can't kill anymore. You can't harvest anymore.
Okay.
And that was all managed off of females. Well, we finally talked them into doing a male and a female quota, and it was nice because we actually had quite a few cats. Our cat numbers were probably a little higher than they should have been, but we had a lot of what I call teenage cats.
Okay.
A lot of young ones. You didn't have ones that were great big, making it to maturity. Well, when we switched to a male and female quota that they had to hit, after 2 years, we started getting good cats again, meaning big cats, the kind we truly want to chase. A big tom. Cats will manage their own population to an extent if you let them. A big tom will either run smaller toms out or kill them. Because he's controlling his area. He wants to breed those females. And if you don't have that and the big ones get killed off and you just have a bunch of these teenage ones, they don't run each other off. They don't kill each other. And you start to run into more issues. But they changed that and got rid of it and went full crazy and said 0 quota. So the hunt with hounds is open from the beginning of December to the end of March, 4 months. And it used to be, hey, once 7 females are killed in this combination of areas or a region, we shut it down. They said, we don't care anymore.
Shoot as many as you want.
They'll kill. Yeah, you still had to have a tag, but there was nothing stopping the killing at a certain point. And then just this last year, Idaho went ahead and made lions. They did this in Utah too. It's a little different in Idaho, but they made it open year round. Not with hounds year round, but you can kill a lion year round in Idaho now.
Huh. Okay.
So
now I know you guys are involved with studies. What do the people that are running those studies feel about the way that the wildlife departments are managing the species?
This is where a fun can of worms gets opened.
I knew I was asking that kind of question.
Yeah, because I say we, like my family, and a lot of the houndsmen that we do stuff with, we battle with the fish and game, and we know the fish and game guys well, like we know the biologists, etc. But when it comes right down to it, fish and game does all this for one reason. If we're being honest, deer hunters are where they make their money, right?
Yeah.
They sell more deer tags than anything else. And behind closed doors, you can get some commissioners and fish and game guys to tell you, like, yeah, we're doing this stuff to try and basically let hunters know we're doing something to try and help the deer numbers. We're taking care of predators. However, for a lot of your ecosystems, studies show that cats are affecting less than 5% of your deer. In the southeast region of Idaho where we're at, Hurley, a guy for the Fish and Wildlife, actually did a huge study, and it showed that they affected less than 5% of your deer numbers.
Gotcha.
So it's a battle. We'll actually show up to meetings and present the Fish and Game's data to them.
Here, I read your book.
Yeah, we'll present their data to them, and where are you getting this? Oh, this is yours, guys. By the way, this is yours. So it's a constant battle. I would dare say 90+% of your houndsmen are on the same page.
Yeah.
With cats. A majority of them you'll find they don't just kill every cat, they run up a tree. They're selective, right? We want to kill the
Yeah.
males, we leave the females. We like to chase them, we like to run our dogs. And then you have a small percentage of houndsmen that disagree with that. But I would say 90 plus, probably 90 to 95% of houndsmen are on the same page.
Huh. So interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the contrast of like Idaho and Utah being like, yeah, no limits, do whatever you want, good luck year round, just no dogs year round, to Colorado where we almost lost the ability to hunt them entirely.
Isn't it
It's
crazy?
crazy. Yeah, I know that was ballot box biology and not necessarily the biologist specifically going, here's our plan. But the fact that it got as far as it did, it's just crazy to me that like there could be such different perspectives, just a couple thousand miles away. It's like, it's not, I don't know, it's crazy to me.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? In one area, they're trying to shut it down completely, and in the other area, going to the extreme of, kill as many as you want, guys, go for it. Yeah, it's like, need that nice happy medium,
Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is. But either way, this is very interesting, Rusty, so thank you for sharing with me. I know we're bumping up on the amount of time that I asked from you, so I want to be respectful of that. Do you have any more stories you want to share? Otherwise, we can let people know where to find you.
We're good. We can always tell more stories on another day if you want.
Let's do it, brother. Let's do it. But for now, why don't you share, I don't know, any socials, any businesses? Tell us where the people can like look into you, because you obviously got a lot going on and are an interesting person to follow.
Yeah, a couple places on a personal level. My Instagram and Facebook, you can find me under Rusty Smith, or my handle RTS_Proverbs 2119. That's like on Instagram, or Rusty Smith usually finds me. We have a couple of businesses, babybooners. That's this logo here behind me. I have a business where we take people's trophies, like your deer, your elk, your antelope. We scan them with high-tech scanning equipment, and we make miniature versions for guys.
That's cool.
They can throw on their desk or hang from the rearview mirror, etc. You can find us on socials under babybooners.
Does that species, or not the species, but does that take need to be present for you guys to scan it? Or can do photos? Like if I were to send, I'm here in Colorado, I shot an awesome bull I'd love to have a duplicate of. Could I send you photos of it, or does it have to actually be in shop for you guys to duplicate it?
We do a physical scan. Photogrammetry exists to be able to, like if you send us pictures of your bull, we can make a representation of it. We stick with the scan because we can do it exact. Like we can measure volume of antler. Like this buck I showed you here, hard to see on video, but there's actually a bullet hole through his antler.
And cool.
On photogrammetry, you're not going to pick that up, but with scanning, we get every amount of detail. But we travel, so we go to Colorado usually a few times a year. We go to banquets, we go to expos, shows. We were back east, Michigan and Pennsylvania, to shows this last year. But yeah, you can find us under babybooners on social media.
Very cool. Do you, when you travel, do you travel with your little sensors and go place to place, or do you go somewhere and then people bring their heads to you?
A mixture of both. A lot of shows and expos, we literally have our scanner and stuff set up there, and people can bring heads to the shows, antlers to the shows. We'll scan them on the spot, and then usually we spend all night, those nights, going to people's homes, businesses, etc. Like right now, like this Friday, we're probably going to be going down through Salt Lake. We got about 7 or 8 guys that have asked us to come, and we'll spend the day and show up at their house, scan their animals, go to the next one, scan their animals. And then we have we actually have a new business that Johnny and I started that we just released last week called plink.pro.
Love it.
And check it out. Everybody knows the Daisy Red Ryder BB guns that everybody grew up with. We make a kit to retrofit your Daisy Red Ryder, or we have the whole entire Daisy Red Ryder already retrofit with an adjustable stock. So now it fits a 5-year-old kid. You've ever seen kids? They stick them under their armpit because the stock's too long.
Yeah.
So now it'll grow with
on top of their shoulder.
Yeah, on top of it. However they can do it. So now these are adjustable. The foregrip's got a 3-sided Picatinny on it. We have bipods that little kids can hook on it. We got red dot scopes, miniature scopes, lasers, the whole bit, so they can retrofit these Plink Pros into the ultimate BB gun. And we're plink-pro.com on our website, or you can find us under Plink Pro on social media as well. And that just kicked loose, like I say, just over a week ago, and it's awesome. You got to check that out.
dude, I've been playing around on what you've sent me already, and it's super cool. I have a question. Do you guys have anything? Because we've got a little BB gun. My son shoots it, but man, those BBs come out of there like, just different direction every shot. Is there anything to fix that to make them more accurate? Because that little dude, he's a crack shot with that BB gun, considering they fly every which direction when they come out of there.
Yeah, there's certain BB guns. They're certainly not accurate. The Daisy Red Ryder, anybody that shot those, half the time you can see your BB.
Yeah.
I've seen where guys have gone in and put stiffer springs and all kinds of stuff in them to make them more accurate. But ultimately, you just have to upgrade to a nicer BB gun unless you want to do some gunsmithing work on them. Yeah.
On your little Red Ryder. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to share, Rusty?
No, that's good. Come check
Perfect,
us out
man.
on those. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put links to everything in the show notes. I highly encourage everyone to check it out. It'll be one click away. Make it as easy as possible, man. Yeah. But, Rusty, thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure to meet you. And, man, you knocked the stories out of the park today. I think every one of them was a phenomenal story. I've done 100 and at this point, like 80 of these things. I can't remember every story, I'll be honest, but you dropped a few on me here that I think will definitely stay in the catalog when people are like, oh, tell me a story that you've heard on your podcast. Yours will be easy to share.
Yeah,
so
good.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, man.
Yeah, and we'll have you back on here soon because I have a feeling you got plenty more stories. You got enough from just 2020 to fill probably 3 episodes.
Yeah, I do.
All right, man. Thanks again.
You bet.
All right, guys. That's it. Another couple stories in the books. I want to thank Rusty, of course, for coming on the podcast. I reached out to him, and he was more than happy to jump on. Even though he is very busy, I think he started plink.pros like within a week of when he actually came on to record. So that being said, guys, check out plink.pros. I'm going to get myself one here when I have a moment for my little dude because 22 is still a little much, but that Red Ryder BB gun is amazing, but it's not quite where we want it to be, and that's where plink.pros comes in. Also check out babybooners if you got a mount that you want to have a little replica of. It's super cool. When he does get to Colorado, I'm going to make sure I get my bull elk duplicated so that I can have one in my office since it won't fit down in my office. But beyond that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Again, please check out all of Rusty's links. They're in the show notes. And if you are listening right now, if you're new, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're a long-time listener, I appreciate you for keeping tuning in. But that being said, if you could please review the podcast, I'd very much appreciate it. 5-star, 4-star, whatever you feel it deserves. And then subscribe and share it with at least one other person. Help us grow. Help us expand our reach so that more folks are reaching out saying, hey, I've got some crazy stories that I want to tell. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Now get out there and make some stories of your own.